Joining us now is the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee, Ohio Congressman Mike Turner. Congressman, welcome back to the show. So Secretary Mayorkas came out over the weekend and said that this board will not infringe on free speech, but rather is actually to help with foreign disinformation on Russia, China, and the cartels smuggling drugs across our southern border. I mean, do you buy that explanation?
Absolutely not. I mean, what we're basically seeing here is that we've seen for years from the Democratic Party is their attempt to go from the spin room to actually grabbing government itself to try to discredit information that it finds unacceptable, it doesn't like, that it tells the truth, or to go against their opponents. We're seeing this now in the information that's coming out as to what the Clinton campaign was really doing with respect to Russia and Trump. But now we also see it with the director for the Disinformation Governance Board and what she's personally said about the Hunter laptop, which we now know and everyone is acknowledging on both sides of the aisle to be accurate. This is just their effort to try to use government and to try to have it with the color to tell people things that they know are not true, and to try to sell it and try to suppress these type of stories in the media.
Right, and Mayorkas saying that Nina Jankowicz, who's leading the board, is neutral when she has been so outspoken about the Steele dossier, and as you mentioned, the Hunter Biden laptop, that it was fake. It really goes against what he's saying. But I do want to ask you this, because Congress has the power of the purse. So if Republicans take back the majority, will you ensure that there's no funding for this board?
Well, absolutely. There are a number of areas where this administration is attempting to use government to identify what they consider to be criticism against the administration and to try to discredit it through the government, rather than this being a political process, the natural debate, freedom of speech that we all expect. We're going to be looking at the root of those initiatives throughout the government, both in the intelligence community and obviously in the Homeland Security Department, and finding ways that we nip these in the bud to ensure that the administration is not able to implement their plans to suppress free speech and suppress criticism of the administration.
Okay, so I do want to shift gears with you, because the Biden administration has agreed to share more U.S. intelligence with Ukraine. And this came after you and Senator Marco Rubio sent separate letters requesting that restrictions that were there be removed. So how will this help Ukraine in their fight against Russia?
Yeah, this was very unexpected when we received notice that the administration was restricting the use of intelligence information by Ukraine, so that we were not sharing that information as to any area or territory that the Russians took in Ukraine. I mean, we're supposedly helping them to ward off the Russians in their invasion. We're providing them lethal weapons, and we're not going to tell them where the Russians are. It just made no sense. We pushed back. We were able to bring forward, I think, what was bipartisan criticism of this. The administration has rescinded it. They're now sharing intelligence information that can allow them to fight the Russians, to win back territory. And it's being so successful that you're starting to see news stories come out of the administration from unnamed sources claiming the successes of what the intelligence information is resulting in the Ukrainians in certain areas being able to be more successful and fight back the Russians and hopefully retake their territory.
Absolutely. Is there any risk at all with sharing this intelligence with Ukraine?
I think the risk is not sharing. If we don't share the information with them and the intelligence with them, Russia has a high chance of being able to defeat them. And as you know, Russia has been there just unbelievable, murderous, inhumane attacks on basic civilians, on civilian neighborhoods, destroying whole cities. This is the type of evil that we need to be against, and we need to make certain that we stand up to try to help the Ukraine defend itself.
Wow. So we're 1 week away from May 9th, which is Victory Day in Russia. Many people believe that Vladimir Putin will use this as a directive on the war in Ukraine. But we were talking to Andrei Larionov last week, the former Putin economic advisor, and he said that actually May 7th is the day that people should be focused on, because it's a very special day to Putin. You're on the House Intelligence Committee. Have you seen anything to indicate that May 7th is the important day?
Yeah, but of course, I can't share with you actual intelligence that goes through our committee, but I can certainly describe to you my impression of what we're seeing. And I think that we're in a very critical time right now. Vladimir Putin understands that his military is not being able to achieve the goals that he thought they would quickly achieve. He's seeing the Ukrainian people stand up, and certainly President Zelensky being a world leader and galvanizing people for self-determination and for democratic principles. So I do think he is hitting an area of desperation. What I'm very concerned about is that the administration, in all of the saber rattling, what we're hearing come out of Russia, Lavrov, for example, specifically citing that this could result in a nuclear exchange, is not having the administration be strong enough in its statements to rebuff those and let it be clear that that Putin is a pariah. That at this point, if there's any actions like that taken, that certainly the world will rise up against Russia, and that there's great risk to Russia itself if they should ever consider using a nuclear weapon against Ukraine or even our NATO allies.
Do you have intelligence to show that they are headed down that path?
Well, again, I can't talk to you about specific intelligence, but I think even in the open discourse of what you're seeing in the media, there's several foreign ministers in our NATO allies, certainly coming out of the State Department, of grave concern of the disposition of Vladimir Putin and the prospects that he might feel that he is in a desperate situation.
Before I let you go, I do want to ask you about this because your primaries in Ohio are tomorrow, Senate primaries. There's new polling that suggests Americans trust Republicans to handle crime and the economy over Democrats. According to ABC News and the Washington Post, 47% prefer Republican on crime, 50% on the economy, 50% on inflation, and 68% of Americans disapprove of Biden's handling of inflation. I only got about 30 seconds left for you, but how is this going to play out in the midterms?
Well, I think it's incredibly important. People understand that the inflation that they're seeing, that their families are being impacted by, that they see every day when they go to the grocery store, is a direct result of this administration's policies. They want them reversed. They're going to be voting for Republicans to step in to do that. They also see the weakness, what happened in Afghanistan, the slow response to Ukraine. They see the open border and the administration trying to say the border is not open. These are policies that people want stopped, and I believe they're going to vote Republican in order to be able to change the direction of the House of Representatives and shut down these policies.
All right, Congressman Mike Turner, always appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate it.
Well, coming up, we're